Welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. I might be becoming a bad baseball fan who can't enjoy the romantic things because of advanced statistics. 15 years from now, I want to be on the early baseball committee. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran.
I literally have the Fangraphs hoodie, the baseball reference t-shirt, just repping some stats, you know what I'm saying?
It's not necessarily Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio. We're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there across from me, as you cannot see on YouTube, unfortunately, is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I'm doing very well today. You know, the unfortunately in that intro, the word unfortunately is never a good thing, but it's kind of a good thing for us because we're back in person. We're back on the campus of Springfield College for our senior year. And this podcast started when we were freshmen, getting ready for the 2019 playoffs, and now we're getting ready for the 2022 playoffs and also getting ready to graduate in 2023. Still having this podcast going strong, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I say that maybe as a compliment to you because it's like you can't see Daniel, unfortunately.
Yeah.
However, the podcasts are in person and from now until likely mid-December. And I think that provides a better dynamic for us. Also, the audio quality is going to be much better for people listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So we love that. We love having that. And our availability is going
to be questionable.
It's weird because it can be more flexible, but also not in some ways. So, we'll try to fit in as much as we can. But I know we did miss the second episode of last week because move-in complications, just weird timing was weird. And also, there wasn't too much to talk about in the baseball world.
There really wasn't.
Really, yeah. It is getting that time of year where playoff spots are very well established and not a lot of movement. Might be time for a top 10 list pretty soon, like we did last year. But something that's been talked about. I saw a lot of activity about it. I mean, anytime Shohei Ohtani does something well, the discussion of his MVP candidacy and potential MVP favoritism comes up. I'm seeing a lot of pro Shohei for MVP tweets. What do you think? And it's between him and Judge. That's how it's going to be. What are you thinking about this whole saga and how it's going to play out for the next month?
It's extremely difficult. This is probably the most unique MVP race we've ever seen.
I agree.
Because last year, you had Shohei doing that, but there was no MVP discussion because it was just Shohei, and that was it. Vlad Guerrero Jr. was a distant second. But you now have Aaron Judge, who has 54 home runs on the season with 27 games left to play for the Yankees. There's a pretty good chance he's going to end up breaking the American League home run record, which was set by Roger Maris in 1961, where he hit 61 home runs. And there's a lot of people that say, as long as Shohei stays healthy and does both well, he should get MVP every year. And I think that's a fair argument to make. But if there's something you could ever do to possibly unseat that, it would probably be breaking a 60-year record for single-season home runs in the AL.
Yeah, I would. I think that's a fair thing to say. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a fair thing to say. And here's what I'll say about this American League MVP discussion. I have two rules for it so far. Well, first rule is a rule for every MVP candidate is basically we need to focus on team success minimally, because I mean think about it. Obviously Shohei Ohtani is on a team that's I think 18 games below 500 or something like that. They've had one of the worst records since the end of May in baseball. It's like them, Nationals, maybe Pirates, and then the Yankees are a first place team. However, the Yankees are I looked it up. The Yankees are 21-31 in their last 52. Aaron Judge is the leader in FWAR and weighted runs created plus in that span. He has 250 weighted runs created plus in this 21-31 stretch. Next best weighted runs created plus is 181. So he's 69% better than the average hitter in baseball. Yeah, he's 69% better than the average hitter in baseball. Or no, 69% better than the next best hitter in
Yeah.
baseball. That's what I meant to say.
150% above the average hitter.
150% above the average hitter. And his team is 10 games below 500 in a 52-game span. So that's all I really need to know about team success in an MVP race is like you can be really, really good and your team can still not be great. So that's my first rule. My second rule is let's not compare this year's MVP race to last year's MVP race because I've seen that. I know that was one person I took note of was Ryan Spader, who is a guy on Twitter. I think he's written for like USA Today about baseball. He was saying it's ridiculous that Ohtani's going to have just as good a year this year as last year, but he's not going to win. He might not win MVP, and he kind of blamed like voter fatigue or something. But it's like no, you can't compare last year's
Vlad Jr. season to this year's Aaron Judge season.
Because Vlad Jr. finished second in the AL MVP last year. Aaron Judge is Ohtani's biggest threat to the MVP, and it's not comparable. I mean, just by basic stats, Vlad Guerrero Jr. had a 167 OPS plus last year as a guy who relied mostly on his offense and was kind of a negative defensive producer and not great on the bases. So he had a 167 OPS plus. Aaron Judge has a 202
weighted runs created plus at least.
Yeah, I think a 204 OPS plus with better defense and better base running.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I don't love about like using a 200 weighted runs created plus / OPS plus this year, no one's done it in a full season minus the pandemic year since 04 Bonds. But like the legal PS this year is 707. Like that's a 21-point drop from where it was last year. So it is a lot easier to accumulate OPS plus, but everyone's in the same boat there. But I do think like if Aaron Judge finishes the season above a 200 OPS plus or weighted runs created plus, I don't know how much the voters are going to take that into consideration, but it's definitely there's a lot of novelty there. But I don't know. I feel weird acknowledging it as such because the league OPS is so far down.
Yeah, I mean, I would feel weird about it too, but I'm also, when I'm evaluating Shohei Ohtani, I'm also using OPS plus.
That's true.
Because, I mean, his OPS, his overall OPS is down over 65 points from last year, but his overall OPS plus is down only like 6 points.
Yeah.
And that's because, I mean, for those unaware, the league-wide OPS is at an 8-year low. It hasn't been since 2014 that a league-wide OPS has been this low. And so, yeah, obviously, Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s 2021 and Aaron Judge's 2022 cannot be compared. And so, yeah, I think the novelty of Shohei Ohtani, it's kind of obvious. He's promoted pretty well, and he should be, obviously. He's 1 in a million. Or he's
1 in 22,000.
He's one in 7.5 billion if we're talking about the Earth's population. But Aaron Judge is also having a generational year. I'm gonna give some context to Aaron Judge's year so far. So right now, he's on track to have a 200 OPS plus. He already has 15 stolen bases. Here are the last players to have a 200 OPS plus or better and 15 stolen bases in a season. So the last one to do it was 1994 Jeff Bagwell. First of all, that was a shortened season
by a strike.
And it was 28 years ago.
And it was also the pre-steroid era 90s.
Yeah, he won MVP. Then before that was 1993 Barry Bonds. He won MVP. Before that was
1992 Barry Bonds, who also won MVP. And 1990 Barry Bonds did not have a 200 OPS plus.
1992 Barry Bonds, who won MVP. 1980 George Brett, who won MVP.
Who also got hurt that season.
and 1957 Mickey Mantle, who won MVP. All the other players to do that, 200 plus OPS plus and 15 plus stolen bases, are pre-modern MVP voting, and I'm talking about AL and NL players. I didn't include Negro League players into this because they don't really have an MVP system. But so all the other players in the AL/NL in history to do that were Babe Ruth, Rogers Hornsby, Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner, and Dan Brothers.
Yes.
Who
The
did
only
it in
the only
1886.
thing is none of them had to face Shohei Ohtani in MVP voting.
Exactly. So, but I think it should be acknowledged that like this isn't your average MVP campaign that Aaron Judge is putting on. It's not, your average 7-win season that might win the MVP. This is a season that is probably going to accumulate 10 wins above replacement-ish or around there.
Which hasn't been done since 2018, I believe.
Yeah, hasn't been done since 2018. And before that, hadn't been done since, I think, Barry Bonds.
No, didn't Bryce Harper do it in 2015?
He might have done it in
And on at least one
Fangraph.
website.
I don't think, but to be honest, I don't think he did it in either.
He had 9.7 B WAR. It's awfully close.
Yeah,
Because like Bryce's season in 2015 was like pretty universally agreed upon at the time as the best season since Bonds.
yeah,
And he
rightfully
had
so.
9.3 on. Yeah, so he didn't do it, but he was very close.
yeah, and like there's a big reason why Aaron Judge has a lot of MVP validation, and it sucks that one of them is not going to be able to win MVP.
Yeah.
Well, what are some more thoughts on this?
I have a few. This is not necessarily related to MVP talk, but I just have an appreciation for stuff I've seen on Twitter where all these accounts have been tweeting stuff like, if Aaron Judge hits 62 home runs, would you recognize that as the all-time home run record because he passes Roger Maris? And everyone answers it like the other person's 5 years old, where it's like, the all-time home run record is Barry Bonds, who hit 73 home runs in 2001.
Yeah, I saw.
MLB Now just tweeted it.
Yeah,
Which is very much not a boomer account.
yeah, that's true. But I mean, I feel like even if it really is an age thing, where like sure, like Brian Kenny is into advanced statistics, but I feel like no matter what, if you're older, you're less likely to forgive the steroid era.
Yeah.
Even if you're into advanced statistics, because I think there's separate issues. So yeah, and also so yeah, for context, Shohei Ohtani I think has a 151 OPS plus
And a 144 ERA plus, I believe.
I think 156
Maybe.
ERA plus.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
He's been much better as a pitcher this year than he was last year, and he's kind of dropped off a little bit as a hitter, which I feel like kind of evens out the two seasons, right? Like,
Yes.
2021 Shohei is not that much different from 2022 Shohei. I mean, 2021 Shohei was remembered as one of the best hitters in the league. He probably could have been in the MVP discussion even if he was just a hitter. I don't know if he would have beat Vlad Jr. just on offense alone, but you add in the fact that he pitched like 130 innings, and 130.1 innings, had a 1.142 ERA, a 3.52 FIP. This year, he might qualify for the ERA title.
Yeah. So as a pitcher, Shohei Ohtani is he already has a higher workload.
Yeah, he's already got 136 innings pitched. That leaves him, 26 innings away?
Yes.
And you figure he's got 3 more starts left in him, right?
Yeah. Well,
It might be tough.
no, he's definitely got more than 3. The
Okay.
Angels have. Well, I know the Yankees have 27 games remaining because I looked it up for a stat. So I imagine the Angels have at least 25, which that could be 5 starts. Which
Well, they don't use him in the traditional like 5-man rotation system. Like, he does get a little more off time.
That's true. So maybe 4.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say 4. Let's say he gets 4 more starts. He's got to average like 6 innings a start to get there, which he realistically can do.
Yeah, a little over 6.
And as someone who has, I know that this is kind of a lame analysis, but like as someone who has checked into every Shohei Ohtani start this year for reasons of competitive nature, owning him on a fantasy team.
Yeah.
Every single time I look at him, it's pure dominance. I'll be like, oh wait, it'll be so like the game will start at 10:10, it'll be 10:40. I'll be like, oh wait, how's Shohei done? And I'll just real quick see 2 innings pitched, no hits, no runs, 4 strikeouts, 0 walks, no home runs. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's Shohei.
Yeah.
Every single time without fail, except for when he faced the Tigers in Detroit that one time. But that was it. That's literally one bad start throughout the year.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that shows in his fielding independent pitching, which has gone down about a full run.
Which is nuts.
Yeah, it's 2.54.
And his ERA is only 4 points off.
Like his strikeouts per 9 leads all of Major League Baseball.
All of Major League Baseball, 12.0.
Yeah.
And his walks per 9 is 2.2, which is down 0.8 from where it was last year, which is excellent.
Yeah, so like that's why this conversation is so hard, because it's like it's so hard. You can't ignore either side. Like it's like, oh, Aaron Judge, he's going to have maybe like 62, 63 home runs and a 200 OPS plus, along with neutral defense and solid base running. But then you have this guy who leads in strikeouts per 9, has a 2.54 FIP, and then is an everyday hitter who's 50% above average as a hitter. So
yeah. And also, like, one thing to take into note is that, so Aaron Judge currently has 8.9 FOR. Shohei Ohtani is at 7.9 when you combine his pitching and hitting. So you'd think that automatically means Judge has been a full win better. But, like, WAR does not take into account the fact that he takes up 2 roster spots as one person.
yeah,
Like, that is, like, when you're talking about value, there's a lot of talk about what the V means to someone in MVP. Being able to take up 2 roster spots, or being able to be 1 roster spot while performing as 2, and doing it in such a way where you're one of the best in the league at both, is, like I said, it's something that we've never seen before. Like, Babe Ruth never did this. I don't care. People can make the comparisons. Babe Ruth never did this. Nobody ever did this.
exactly.
At least in the live ball era, no one did this.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, anytime the Babe Ruth comparison is thrown out, they never use league adjusted.
No,
statistics.
it's always like, oh, Babe Ruth had a 3.13 ERA. It's like, yeah, the league ERA was 2.9.
Yeah, he was below average as a pitcher.
Yeah.
You're not understanding that.
Yeah, look at ERA plus one time.
Please. So yeah, like, yeah, no one's doing this, and yeah, I mean, there's obvious value shown in that, like, oh, he's your ace and also your most consistent hitter in the lineup.
There's if you go on like the team website, it'll show like the basic leaders and statistics, like the leader in hits, the leader in runs scored, home runs, and then also like wins, ERA. Shohei leads all of them for the Angels except for saves.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
One last quick thing I wanted to say, Chris, this is something that you like to mention with Shohei, and I don't know if you had it like queued up or not, but batter-pitcher interactions.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Aaron Judge has 577 this year, obviously all of them as a hitter facing a pitcher. Shohei has 1,103.
Yeah, that's insane.
Like you faced 1,100 opponents this year, essentially, in batter by batter, pitcher by pitcher interactions, and to have done both that consistently, great.
Yeah,
great. Not pretty good.
50% above average in both is great.
Yes.
Yeah, that is something, and yeah, it's not something. The whole thing of taking up 2 roster spots, obviously that can't be accounted in wins above replacement, but also, like, no matter what, you have to acknowledge how amazing both seasons have been, and the fact that they're happening at the same time is pretty crazy and unlucky for whoever won't win.
The one, we do say like take team very minimally, like the team that they're on, but especially right now, you do got to wonder where the Yankees would be without Aaron Judge, because they've had this horrific slide where their division lead has shrunk by 10 games. They went from being on pace to compete with the 116-win Mariners to just fighting for the division and likely not even going to win 100 games at this point.
Yeah.
And you mentioned during that stretch where Aaron Judge has a 250 OPS plus, there's still 10 games over 500 or 10 games under 500. So like part of you does gotta wonder. I mean, obviously I'd still take this minimally because obviously neither player can control the team they're on and the rest of the guys there. But where would the Yankees be without Aaron Judge right now?
Yeah, and I mean,
They would be like maybe a playoff team.
Maybe a play, yeah. And if you take the wins above replacement literally, and you go with Fangraphs, you take away 9 wins from the Yankees. They're 4 back in the division right now.
Yep.
And
they're I don't even think they're a wild card team at that point. They're definitely not because actually they might be. They might be the 3rd wild card at best.
Well, they have 81 wins now. They would be 72 and 54 plus 9, 63.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd be out of it.
But at the same time, where would the Angels be without Ohtani? They would be in the same place, but so much worse.
That's exactly what I'm gonna say. Is like, with these MVP discussions, yeah, like
it's not fair that Aaron Judge was on a team that was 61-29 or whatever it was.
Like, we can agree that both teams would be so much worse off without this guy.
And there's a chance that we might get to see both of those scenarios play out over the next couple of years. One of them is an impending free agent this year. One of them is next year.
Yeah. Exactly.
As of right now.
Right. And I mean, how I would say if Judge was on the Angels and Ohtani was on the Yankees and Angels would probably be in similar situations to what they are now.
But that could also be a team-by-team thing because, I mean, you look at the Yankees' pitching depth, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially after Cole, Jameson Taillon has struggled recently. Nestor Cortez went on the IL. Jordan Montgomery got traded. Like, all of their guys behind Cole have struggled in some way. Frankie Montas has been inconsistent. They had, what was it? Who else did they have? Domingo Germán's in there right now. He's actually been doing okay, but he was not in that rotation at the beginning of the year. You have Luis Severino go on the 60-day IL.
Yeah.
If you had if you replace, you get a lesser Judge, like offensively, but you get another pitcher, that puts him in a pretty good spot. If you take away Ohtani from the Angels, that takes away a lot of their pitching depth. Sure, they have a better bat in the offense, but how much can you really account for it when there's more
True.
runs being given up? And it's a team-by-team thing. Like, that's another thing that neither player can control. Like, you can't blame Shohei for the fact that if he was not on the Angels, they would have no pitching except for Patrick Sandoval.
Right. That's where the whole thing of of why every day I wish this was the best player award and not the most valuable player award.
But even then, it would still be very difficult to...
Well, yeah, but value makes this whole thing so much more difficult.
It does. It's very
Absolutely.
confusing. So, do we want to finish off with what we think should and what we think will happen?
Yeah, I mean, I still don't know
Because
what I think should happen.
The truth is, at this point, obviously there's 4 weeks left in the season and anything can happen from now until then. But right now, I don't think there's a wrong answer between the two of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think if Aaron Judge wins it, it's like, yeah, you know what? Let's just say he does. Yeah, he broke the AL home run record. Like, what? Like, that's what it's going to take to unseed that. And if Shohei does it, it's like, yeah, he's still doing something that no one's done in the history of baseball.
Yeah, and let's also mention with Aaron Judge, if he breaks the home run record, that's not an empty thing. He also is hitting 300. He has an OBP above 400, so he's getting on base at an elite rate. And
he had to adjust to play center field this year from right field.
Yeah, and he's slugging homers like crazy, and he's providing, according to the statistics, neutral defense, which is more than what Ohtani is providing. He's a DH, which, I mean, that's a whole different conversation. And positive base running, according to BSR. Judge has 1.2 BSR.
Ohtani has minus 0.1.
Yeah, Ohtani, he's fell in the base running department, which I know is a little more minor, but just to establish that. So yeah, like there's a great case for Judge. Obviously, there's a great case for Ohtani. I mean, over 1,100 pitcher batter interactions, and being 50% above average at both, according to OPS plus and ERA plus, and also FIP. I mean, his FIP would be 50% above average at least.
His
also.
FIP is ridiculous.
His FIP is crazy. I mean, strikeout, walk, home run numbers are all great for Shohei Ohtani. It's a conversation that will be happening, unless one of them falls off, or one of them just completely takes over.
Do you think if Aaron Judge does not get to 61, there's no contest? Because I feel like there is, like, especially with the writers, there's going to be a lot of novelty in he broke a 60-year record. But if he doesn't do that, do we even bother having a conversation at the end of the year? Which it's very likely that he does at this point. He's got 54 home runs. He's hit 1 in the last 3 games. You know, he's on a hot streak right now, and there's, 20 games left to play? Like,
Yeah.
it's probably likely. I don't know. I think he's on pace for, 63, 64 right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking about what that would imply statistically.
Let's say he still has, a 972 OPS to finish the season, but he has 6 home runs.
972? Oh, like throughout for the
OPS
rest.
plus. Yeah, for the rest of this, from here on
Yeah.
out. But, he walks a lot. He gets a lot of doubles. He hits 6 home runs. That would put him at 60.
Yeah. So that's what I was about to say is what do the 6 home runs
he's
imply?
still, it's not like he crashes and burns and has a negative weighted runs created plus from here on
Right.
out. He still performs a really solid bat, ends the season with I don't know, let's say a 1075 OPS, and he gets to 60 home runs and stops there.
Yeah. So if he gets 6 home runs, that means he's getting a home run, and he plays every single Yankees game, which I don't know if that'll happen, but that would mean he gets I just did the math. That would mean
One every 4 games.
He gets 1 every 4.5 games.
Yeah.
At this pace right now, he's getting 1 every 2.5 games. So that would mean that he's slightly fallen off. And if the average and on base rates stay about the same, strikeout, walk rates stay the same, yeah, it would be a very, very slight regression. And if Ohtani keeps his pace, yeah, I mean, I think there is also pressure with the writers to not be labeled with getting voter fatigue also, because I feel like they're getting called out a little bit right now, even though nothing's happening.
Even though nobody is.
Yeah. No BBWAA writer is speaking their mind about this right now. Really.
I don't even think they're allowed to.
Yeah, exactly.
They literally tell you, hey, you have this award. You're not going to say a word about it until the results come out.
Yes.
That starts now.
Yes.
Because they find that out, middle of the season.
Yeah. I know. I mean, we have been in contact with someone who voted on AL Manager of the Year last year, and he knew about that before August.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're in the first week of September right now.
Yeah, and you'll always hear if I had a vote, I would go with this. And the opinions always change, and I think it's going to be very close. I ultimately do think Ohtani's going to end up with it.
Yeah.
Because that's just a tough thing to turn down.
Right. Yeah, but
man, Judge.
But the thing with Ohtani is he can have a blow up start, and it could change things.
I was gonna say but that would also.
Whereas it would take Aaron Judge a bad 5-6 games.
Yeah.
To change that.
And it would have to be a bad if it's 5-6 games, it'd have to be bad.
Yes.
It would have to be below 150 average with no extra base hits.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation, and I know it's bad radio, but neither of us have a firm opinion on it right now, because it's a very open-ended discussion. We're not comparing position player to position player. We're not comparing pitcher to pitcher. It's an extremely complex conversation because
we're comparing ridiculous hitter to great pitcher, great hitter,
and also it's ridiculous hitter with contributions on defense and good base running versus starting pitcher / DH, no contribution on defense, neutral base running, but very good at hitting and pitching versus an amazing hitter. So
Like,
yeah.
Cy Young caliber pitcher borderline. Like, because of the innings, I don't think he's going to get much recognition. I mean, he could get Cy Young votes.
He's going to get Cy Young votes, I think.
He should get Cy Young votes.
Yeah, especially considering
Did he get any last year?
some decrease in competition. No, he didn't. I don't think. From what I have his thing
I don't
up.
think he did.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
He got, because, in the
Which makes
awards-
sense. He only threw 130 innings.
Yeah.
But this year, very realistic that he could.
Yes.
He has 4.4 wins above replacement as a pitcher on Fangraphs. That means FIP.
Yes, that's
And he
true.
does qualify, I believe, right now. No, he does not. Oh, he does. He's 7th.
Well, yeah.
7th in the majors, 1, 2, 3, 3rd in the AL. Although I don't think Kevin Gausman's going to get much recognition for Cy Young, even though he probably should.
Yeah. He's had a
Poor guy.
It's been a really interesting year from him.
Dude has a 368 BABIP, and he has like a 360 BABIP on like ground balls as well.
Yeah. Like, he's had bad luck on ground balls, but like he also gives up a lot of line drives and like I think above average barrel rate. But like it's almost like he's getting lucky. He's getting sort of lucky on his outs, but unlucky on his hits sometimes.
Yep.
Which is weird. Just a weird combo. But yeah, it's weird.
3.12 ERA, 2.17 FIP. Dylan Cease currently with the Verlander injury and the McClanahan injury probably might be the front runner for Cy Young right now, question mark, in the American League. 2.13 ERA, 3.02 FIP.
Better expected ERA than
Better
FIP
expected
also.
ERA. Well, he has a 2.62, you're right. And a .81 home runs per 9, 2.56 BABIP against, which would be pretty sick because that was my Cy Young pick and your Cy Young pick.
Yeah, collectively,
Who is your NL Cy Young?
Burns.
Oops.
Well, it didn't flop, but it's like considering his expectations.
I was going to say, it's a
faltered.
big regression year, even though it's a pretty good year.
Yeah,
Like, it's still an ace year.
exactly.
3.02 ERA. Already more innings pitched than last year.
Yeah,
Actually, that's not true. He's 2 away. Never mind.
but yeah, he's definitely gonna eclipse that. Because last year he had an IL stint, I remember.
Yes, he did.
All right, so yeah, that we'll hold off on more Judge Ohtani dialogue for now. You can really talk about it all day.
Yeah, and we will be talking about it again
Yeah.
on several different occasions, including in November, after November. But
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like part of me feels like if they give it to Judge, in like 10 years, Ohtani's peak is going to be over, and we're going to be like, man, why didn't he get an MVP every year?
Right.
Like that is what I fear.
But also,
Like,
it's
like maybe like we might just forget about that Aaron Judge year, especially if, let's say, he has kind of an Albert Pujols situation go down where he signs a big contract in his 30s and then regresses pretty deeply, which I'm not saying that's going to happen, but like that's a scenario.
Yeah, but it also could add to the legacy because when people talk about Mike Trout early in his career, 2012, people are like, it took Miguel Cabrera winning the Triple Crown for him not to win the MVP at 20 years old. Like we could look back and say it took the American League home run record being broken for Shohei Ohtani not to win MVP.
Which I think it should take that.
Yes.
Because, I mean, like I said, if he hits 60 and they still give it to Judge, I feel like that leaves a pretty bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. Like I stand pretty firmly on the stance that Judge has to at least tie the home run record to be considered for MVP, which I think he's going to do that. It's very likely at this point, as long as he stays on his pace. But there's going to be a lot of novelty in the fact that he breaks the record when people vote for MVP.
Yes, very true, especially when Roger Maris, obviously he won MVP of the year. He broke the record, and I mean, if you look back at the statistics from that year, Mickey Mantle objectively had a better year than Roger Maris that year because he had a much better on-base percentage. I think he even had a better slugging percentage. It's just that he had 7 less home runs than Roger Maris.
Same with the year that Joe DiMaggio had his hit streak.
Oh yeah,
with
well,
Ted
big
Williams.
time. Well, the hilarious thing about that, if you don't know, Ted Williams had a better average during Joe DiMaggio's hit streak than Joe DiMaggio did.
Yes.
Which is
that was what, 41?
1941, yes.
Yeah, because that was also the year that Williams hit 406, was it not?
Yeah, he hit 406. He had 1287 OPS.
Wild.
But even, I mean, DiMaggio, I think DiMaggio still had like a 9-win season, so it's
that's still really good. Like that's
Yeah.
right around where Judge's season was, but Williams had a 10.4 win season.
Exactly. And a
1287 OPS.
Yeah, what was his OPS plus?
Please hold.
250s, or no, not 250, something. Like 235?
Yes.
235, yeah.
Heck of a job, Chris.
Yeah, well, I think the single seasons draft popped that into my head.
That's fair.
Shout out to episode 200 if you haven't listened. All right, well, now that we're done with highlighting the arguably 2 best players in baseball, we'll go a little deeper, talk about players to highlight, players that are...
Wait, can we talk about... we haven't talked about the Timmy Trumpet appearance yet.
Oh, right, yeah.
That was so cool.
Yep, that's great for baseball.
It's great for baseball. Part of me needs the Mets in the World Series for that. Or just like a big, like a winner go home playoff game.
Yeah.
Honestly, if the Braves win the division and the Mets host the wild card series over the 5 seed, you're tuning in for that.
Yes.
For that 9th inning.
Yes. I mean, yeah, there's never been this much just this much I don't know how to say it. There's never just been this much energy or there's never been this great of a presentation for a guy throwing an inning.
Yeah.
Ever. Mariano Rivera will always have Enter Sandman, but he Metallica never performed live for Mariano Rivera. It's pretty crazy, and I mean, what we've been talking about the entirety of this podcast is, the MLB has always kind of lacked in personalization and promoting the players, and this is an unbelievable way to do it. It's absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's very parallel to boxing, MMA, pro wrestling, which are individual. I mean, I know pro wrestling is not a sport, but individual quote unquote sports.
Individual entrances.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if for pro wrestling fans, you'll always associate John Cena with the John Cena song, and the Undertaker with the Undertaker song, and it's been, I know that was Hansel Robles' intro song actually, and you'll always associate CM Punk with Cult of Personality. You're always going to associate Edwin Diaz
with Narco.
With Narco, no matter where he goes in his career, and these types of moments. So I mean, it's a great promotion of the game and Edwin Diaz and the Mets. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's also cool that it's funny because Edwin Diaz has had that song since he was in Seattle.
Yeah.
And nobody cared until he was putting on one of the greatest reliever seasons of all time.
Yep. Striking out 17 guys per 9.
Literally. But not only that, but in that game in particular, Turner, Freeman, Will Smith.
Yes. Yeah, literally.
1, 2, 3.
The timing of it was crazy too, because this Timmy Trumpet decides to show up when
the Dodgers are in town.
The Dodgers who are in town, they're on pace for 112 wins.
They're the only team in the National League that's definitively better than the Mets.
Yes. And it's a 1-run ball game.
Yeah, that's a huge... And not only that, but the Mets had dropped the first game of the series, too.
Yeah.
They were trying to... they're still trying to win that series. That... With or without Timmy Trumpet, that's a huge moment. DeGrom started that game.
Yeah.
It was funny because
Brandon Nimmo already
robbed a home run.
Robbed a home run.
Yeah. It was funny. So Timmy Trumpet was there the first game. that they dropped. Diaz didn't pitch, and he came back, and basically, like, he was just going to keep coming back until he got to play Edwin Diaz on.
Yeah.
Buck Showalter would have put him out there in a 7-run game eventually.
Yeah, right,
It's just like, please, just we got to do it.
Yeah,
but
it's garbage time against the Pirates.
DeGrom was starting that game, and he was, doing his DeGrom thing. I was like, man, what if DeGrom does too well that he goes the distance and pitches 9?
Yeah. It's like,
I need him to work in a couple base hits, a couple walks here and there.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting 7. And, man, the 8th inning with Adam Ottavino, never been more stressed than an 8th inning in my life.
Yeah.
It's like, I need the Mets to maintain a lead here, but then I also need them to not score an outrageous amount of runs in the 8th.
Right.
Yeah, and I got to watch it live on SNY. I love that, like, they make Diaz's entrance on TV like a cinematic masterpiece. Like, they change the aspect ratio.
Right. Yeah.
Like, they don't go to commercial for that, which is dope.
SNY has some cool tricks up their sleeve.
They do.
They have those like
that overlay camera angle.
The overlay camera. Makes it look like it's a movie, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
The more you do that, the better.
Dude, Timmy Trumpet had never been to a baseball game in his life, by the way. I don't know if you saw that. And dude was just having the time of his life out there at Citi Field, just on the field. He was riding his trumpet like a horse.
Yeah.
He started playing it like a guitar at one point.
Yeah, you got like 45,000 people there.
It's funny because every team is there's so many baseball teams being like, every team needs to get like a franchise closer now and do that. It's like, you have to pack the house for something like that. Like, you can't be doing that in a 15,000 person crowd in Oakland.
Yeah, no.
Like, it doesn't work like that.
Right. Yeah.
And even that 15,000 is generous for Oakland.
Exactly. Like, I'm trying to think of like, it's like the national they're bringing out Brandon Finnegan. They got like, yeah, you need. This wouldn't have worked in any other situation.
No.
This wouldn't have worked with, even if the Mets were in second place, it would have been like, oh, it's still a second place team.
Like, not everyone can have that. Yeah. Many closers can still have cool entrances, and I think a lot of teams are doing a good job. Like, Felix Bautista with the Orioles.
Yeah.
They have Omar's whistle from The Wire play, and then they mess with the lights in the stadium. Like, that's cool.
Like, O Fortuna, the old like that gospel song or whatever.
Yep. And then the Mariners started doing like a light show with Paul Sewald, I think.
Yeah.
Which was cool. And like, every team I think most teams can make like a big thing of their closer entrances, but like, for it to get attention, like, you got to pack the house and have 45,000 people there.
Yeah, I mean, for a thing like that, it had to be a first place team. It had to be probably a big market team like the Mets. Mm-hmm. It had to be not only like a top 2, maybe best reliever in baseball, but also the guy who strikes out the most guys.
And also going up against 2, 3, 4 on the best lineup in baseball.
Exactly. Like, and a guy who averages about 98 on his fastball.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't
with movement.
Like, you can't have like I don't know, I forget like low velocity closers, but like I remember
Mark Melancon.
Yeah, like, you can't have Mark Melancon out there with the trumpets going off. It's like, oh, there's about to be such soft contact here. It's like, no, you need swings and misses.
No. You have to have the vibe of like your nightmares in that bullpen.
Yes.
And he wants to kill you.
Right. And Felix Bautista plays that well because he throws over 100.
You know what I need? Now that we're on I'm sorry to cut you off, but like, now that I mentioned Mark Melancon, I need someone to make like a remix of him saying "We need your energy" and have that play at Chase Field.
We need your energy.
If you're listening to this, please find that video. If you can't find it, if you go to Mark Melancon's Twitter account and scroll down to October of 2019, there's a video of him saying like 7 times, "We need your energy. Let's go Game 5 NLDS. Let's go Atlanta. We need that loud energy."
Yeah, and it's
in the most calm voice ever.
It's 4 different camera cuts, but
yes.
It's in 2 different places. So
yeah.
He does it in the
locker room.
He does it in the walkway to the locker room. And it's like, "We need your energy," and then he cuts it, but he's still in the walkway to the locker room.
And it's the same like angle of him too. Like, it's not like he changed he didn't change the camera around. Like, it's just the same shot of him.
Yeah, and you can clearly see when you like hit record, and it's like, oh, he sees like, oh, I hit recording. We need your energy. And then it goes to the clubhouse, and it's like, oh, it's a new setting. And then it's another cut, and it's like, oh, we're still in the clubhouse. We're still at your locker.
And he's saying the same thing,
Yeah.
too.
Yep. It's
It's even more beautiful with the fact that they went on to give up 10 runs in the first inning.
It was so funny.
Every time I see him enter a game, like on a national stage, like I remember in 2021, he was in the All-Star game for the Padres. The second he walked out of the bullpen, it was on my Twitter timeline like 3 times. Just, we need your energy.
Come on, let's go.
We need that loud energy.
Yeah. It's
Someone needs to make a remix of Mark Melanson saying that, and he's got to use it for his entrance, unfortunately.
that was a gift from the baseball gods, that video.
That's, you know what's funny? Mark Melanson is probably going to get 10 years of service time. He probably already has 10 years of service time. Like, he had he had an incredible
He was
career.
traded to the Sox in 2012. So
Yeah, he has 11 years of service time. He had an unbelievable year with the Pirates in like 2015 to 17 with various different teams at that point. But
He got
like,
a nice big contract with the Giants.
yeah, he had so listen to this. From 2013 to 15, he pitched 218 innings, had a 200 ERA plus. That was good for a 185 ERA. Like, he had a legit peak. Like, he was a top 5 closer in the game. Undisputed. He had 51 saves in 2015, led the majors. And what's he going to be remembered for?
Yeah.
We need your energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was 8th in the Cy Young voting in 2015.
Yeah, I'll say it again. A gift from the baseball gods
Yeah.
that ever happened. It's
He had a
amazing.
1.64 FIP in 2013 and 71 innings pitched.
Yeah.
1 home run allowed in 71 innings.
Yeah, and that was the thing where, like, we're both Red Sox fans, and he was atrocious for the 2012 Red Sox, and then to see him...
He gave up the longest home run ever to Josh Hamilton.
And then to see him go, and I mean, the Red Sox did get Brock Holt out of that Mark Melanson trade, but still, it was, to see him go on and just be the best reliever in baseball after leaving.
Yep.
After an atrocious stretch with the Red Sox, that's always a stinger.
Yeah, but hey, I mean, the Red Sox had a pretty good closer in 2013.
Yeah, and it was not the closer they traded for.
That closer had a cool entrance.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Sandstorm?
I'll never forget.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
Koji had a good entrance. I've noticed like a lot of debate in who has the best closer entrances, and I think that people rely way too heavily on how good the closer was.
True.
Like people just stick to Mariano Rivera, which Enter Sandman was a great entrance. It was iconic, obviously. But you got to forget about how good the pitcher was and think about how good the entrance is because, man, the Edwin Diaz entrance, like, it's tough to beat.
It is. I mean, but some of these guys just had good taste. Like Trevor Hoffman came into Hell's Bells.
That was an iconic one.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's not hard to tell that that's a great entrance. But, I mean...
Yeah, who was it? Eric Gagne had Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah, I mean, that's... Just a great jock jams.
Jonathan Papelbon had Shipping Up to Boston.
I bet.
Which they play anyway, don't they?
Well, it used to be. I think it used to just be for Papelbon, and now it's anytime the Red Sox are down in the ninth.
Yeah.
In the bottom of the ninth, which has been.
Did they play it? Did they play it during the 28-5 game?
I forget.
That would have been extremely funny.
I forget.
They probably did because it's just protocol.
Right.
But man, I would love to have been there at the time. Like, forget Sweet Caroline down 28-5. I gotta see Shipping Up to Boston with 3 outs to go in the ninth.
Well, they're playing highlights on the big screen. It's like big comeback can happen. We can walk it off here with just a simple 24-run inning. Yeah. Yeah, I forget.
They had to all be laughing like in the PA box.
Yeah.
Like this team.
Yeah, it's like, we're gonna.
Oh, here we go. Here comes the comeback. Oh, get on your feet, Fenway. It's ninth inning time. The Red Sox need to come from behind in this one. Here's shipping up to Boston.
Yeah.
By the Dropkick Murphys.
Here's a video of Xander Bogaerts hitting an RBI single. We got it.
Here's Devers celebrating.
This is a time they walked off and guys getting water thrown on them.
Oh, we could be having that.
Yeah. just you wait. Yeah. Funny things can happen at Fenway Park. So anyway, let's get into the part we've most prepared for, talking players or subjects that have been exceeding expectations or significantly underperforming. And we'll start with our Tuesday, September 6th, 2022 edition of who do you have for us today?
So this is a big day for How About That because we are, in fact, coming to the finish line here. I am crossing off the one last team that we have not done yet. I'm talking about Nick Lodolo.
Ooh.
Yeah, of the Cincinnati Reds. You thought I was going with someone else, and I know exactly who.
There were two candidates, yeah.
Yeah. Nick Lodolo, over his last 4 starts, he ranks tied for 4th in the majors in F-WAR with 0.9. He has a 2.49 ERA and a 2.68 FIP. And during the span, 58.3% of his batted balls have been 0 degrees or lower or 45 degrees or higher. 58.3% of his batted balls. That is tied for the 3rd highest among the 86 pitchers with at least 50 batted balls given up, and is tied for 10th highest among the 190 pitchers with at least 25 batted balls against. He's utilized his sinker in a really interesting way during this span. So he has thrown 82 sinkers in Game Day Zone 12, which if you don't know, that would mean it's not in the strike zone, high and in to lefties, high and out to righties. So that corner, he's thrown 82 sinkers in that zone. That's the most in the majors. Only Sean Manaea has thrown more than 50 of such pitches. He's at 81 right behind him. And despite frequently throwing a pitch out of the strike zone, he has a 312 WOBA on said pitches. The league average is 374 on those pitches. So he's making success of it. And he also has a chase rate of 37%, which is about 15 points above the league average, and a whiff rate of 11%, which is 4.5 points above the league average. And unfortunately, I don't have it pulled up right now, but yesterday I had a span finder stat where I think he's one of 5 Reds pitchers over a 4-game span with at least 25 innings pitched to have a strikeout rate of 27% and a whip below 850.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Oh, Reds pitchers under 24. I should mention that.
Yep.
24 or younger.
Nick Lodolo. The other nominees, one nominee I definitely won't go in with the future. I'll save the other one for later, but there was TJ Friedel.
Who had hilarious expected statistics.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't even pretend. Yeah.
I also tried with TJ Friedel.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Just hold on. Let me pull it up because I think he leads the NL in weighted runs created plus. Yeah. Since August 25th, he has 283 weighted runs created plus. That's second only to Aaron Judge at 284. But his expected slugging is 390 points lower than his actual slugging during this time.
Yeah. I noticed. Like, I was looking at. Yeah.
He had an exit velo below 80 miles an hour.
Yep. And I was like, I mean, I wish I could make this work, but it's not, like, I can't pretend that.
We had the same thought because I also tried, and I was like, I can't do it.
Yep, right. For other fallen Reds soldiers, there were this was a guy who a couple, like maybe 4 weeks ago, Jake Fraley was having a great stretch.
Yeah.
And then he went 0 for 4 the night before we recorded, and I was like, well, I can't, the stats aren't the same. And then he just slumped from there on out, and I was like, damn, I lost one.
We also definitely missed out on Brandon Drury as well.
We did definitely.
Our apologies, Reds fans, but I promise you I got you with Nick Lodolo because he definitely got upstaged by a lot of other prospects that debuted at the beginning of the season, one of them being his teammate Hunter Green, who obviously got a lot more attention because of his fastball. But Nick Lodolo's pitched very well over his last 4 and even his last 8 starts as well, which has been excellent. And he's also just coming back from an injury a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a reason to watch in the future for sure.
Oh, yeah. Lodolo was definitely was he a top 50 prospect?
Something like that. He was like a top 10 pick in the draft whenever he was taken.
I'll look that up real quick. But yeah, I know he was in the prospects list.
He very much was. Yeah. And I want to see he was like 30s.
Yeah.
He was 7th overall in the 2019 draft.
According to, pre-2022 on MLB.com, he was number 42 in baseball, prospect-wise. Baseball Prospectus, number 42. Baseball America, he was rated highest. According to Baseball America rankings before this season, he was number 36 in baseball as a prospect. Working out. I mean, it's not just Hunter Green who's coming up for the Reds.
One of the interesting things too is that he has much better splits at home than on the road.
Yeah,
which you'd expect to be the other way around, given the way Cincinnati is.
Oh yeah, with clarification, the game day zone 12 was that up and away on righties or
up and away on righties, up and into lefties?
See, I think that could work because the sinkers have a lot of sometimes have a lot of horizontal movement.
Yes.
And
especially as a lefty.
A sinker goes away from a righty and in on a lefty. So, I mean, and you mentioned...
he's thrown more of them than anyone else in the majors.
You mentioned there's a high concentration of batted balls with like a launch angle above 45 degrees. So that could cause a lot of pop-ups if you're jamming lefties and going away from righties. And if you're...
if it's a sinker, so he's also giving up a lot on the ground as well.
Yeah, and if you're jamming guys, that's a good thing in Great American Ballpark. If you can keep the ball away from the fence. So on to my how about that. This is also you've mentioned this guy several times, but I'm gonna talk about him. Talking about George Kirby.
Okay, thank you, because I was going to if you did in next episode.
Yeah. George Kirby, unreal for different reasons. In his last 10 starts, he's a 2.22 ERA. But hear this. In his last 10 starts, a 1.40 FIP.
No home runs given up, I believe.
52 and 2/3 innings pitched. Out of 96 pitchers with 50-plus innings pitched, his ERA ranks 11th, and his FIP ranks 1st. In the span, he is not allowed a home run, as you just mentioned. Out of 145 pitchers with 100-plus batted balls in the span, his expected WOBA against is 4th lowest. So 4th lowest out of 145. The guys ahead of him in this span are Spencer Strider, Justin Verlander, and Clayton Kershaw. Strider's NL Rookie of the Year favorite. Justin Verlander, potential AL Cy Young, and Clayton Kershaw, always great and still great. His average exit velocity has gone from 90.4 miles per hour before the span to 87.2 miles per hour in the span, 3.2 mile per hour drop. His strikeout rate has gone from 22% to 28%. Probably most importantly and most notably, and relates to the drop in home run allowance, his barrel rate has gone from 11.9% down to 4.8%. Big deal for George Kirby. That barrel rate is 22nd lowest out of 145 in the span. Also, his line drive rate in the span is down to 17.9%. League average is about 25%, and he's at 17.9%. That is the 6th lowest line drive rate out of 145. And now we get into the historic angle of George Kirby, which you can definitely go with. There are 2 pitchers in baseball history to have 10-game spans at 25 years old or younger with 60-plus strikeouts, 7 or fewer walks, and no home runs allowed. They are George Kirby and Walter Johnson.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that means he's the only guy to do it in the live ball era also. And also, as it stands now, overall, he has the highest strikeout to walk ratio for a rookie with 100-plus innings pitched since 1884, classic year, George Kirby.
Yeah, that guy has to get Rookie of the Year votes. Like, he's got to be a finalist. Honestly, you could probably make a case he's top 2, maybe even top 1.
Yeah, that's true. I've forgotten what that race looks like.
Well, it's Julio, Adley, Stephen Kwan, those, and then George Kirby.
Yeah, we'll talk all day about Julio and Adley, but I mean Kirby is.
Yeah, poor Stephen Kwan. Like, Guardians fans have been trying to make a case for him along with the other two, and like I kind of see it because he's one of the best left fielders in the game, especially considering his defense.
Right.
Like he's a B WAR of 4 this year.
Yeah.
Stephen Kwan.
I mean, yeah, B Ward does love defense.
Yeah, like he's been solid. It's a shame that he has to be in this rookie class because he probably could have been at a better Rookie of the Year ranking in any other year.
Yeah. Shout out to you for having him as a
one of my best
player to watch.
I'm pretty proud of my players to watch this year.
Yeah,
as a whole.
I've looked at mine and not a lot of flops, but not a lot of hits.
I have one major flop that I want to go back and punch myself for.
Oh,
I'm not going to say who it is.
Yeah,
but
we reveal our best flops or biggest flops and best hits. Usually the episode after the World Series.
My biggest hit might be Harold Ramirez, which is very funny.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't qualify, but if he qualified, he would be the major league leader in batting average right now. It's also his birthday.
Right.
Happy birthday. He's hitting .327 with an .803 OPS.
Yeah, most of mine are like, I guess the best example I can use is like, I'm just going to see if his numbers are still the way they are. Most of mine are like Nick Pratto. So Nick Pratto I had as a player to watch. He, as a rookie, has a 99 OPS plus this year.
But also, he had a really tough start.
99 OPS plus, you can't say that is a flop, but you also can't say that's a hit. That's most of my players to watch this year. But it's better than last year. I had some really bad.
You had a tough one. The Royals, by the way, like, they're so young.
Yes.
It's insane. Like, Nick Pratto, MJ Melendez, Vinny Pasquantino. Brady Singer, Michael Massey, who's come up recently and done pretty well for them. They have so many young guys, which is very cool, objectively.
Yeah. You'll like to see it. So now we go from the highs to the lows, where we are talking players or subjects that have been underperforming with our Tuesday, September 6th. And also, by the way, all these stats are as of the end of the September 5th games, if you're listening later, because I know we're recording a little later in the day.
Yeah.
But now it is time for our Tuesday, September 6th, 2022 edition of...
Slightly alarming.
Just real quick before you say it, Nick Pratto in his last 10 games has a 1,000 OPS.
Nice.
Yeah. He also has a very satisfying slash line. He has a 333 LBP and a 667 slugging.
Yep. Nice, good old math.
Yeah.
So who do you got for slightly alarming?
So we talked about Aaron Judge pretty often in the show. Unfortunately, on this segment, I'm talking about his counterpart. I'm talking about Giancarlo Stanton, who has struggled mightily. Ever since he came off the IL on August 25th, he is slashing 105, 209, 105 for a 314 OPS and a -2 weighted runs created plus. His radial chart, which shows his batted balls in accordance with launch angle and exit velocity, it is a disaster. If you look at it, like I looked at it and almost threw up today. It was so ridiculous. 20.7% of his batted balls over the span have a launch angle over 64 degrees.
Woo. That cuts out some pop-ups also.
Yes. That ranks second highest. Unbelievably, Austin Hayes had more.
Wow.
Second highest among the 108 hitters with at least 25 batted balls and at least one of said batted balls, because to show up on the Savant search chart, you have to at least have one of whatever the search is. Additionally, his sweet spot percentage during the span is 13.8%. That ranks second lowest among the 155 hitters with at least 25 batted balls. And during the span, he has one batted ball. He has 26 batted balls total. One batted ball with a launch angle between 9 and 23 degrees.
Yeah.
And the one he had was 10 degrees and had a exit velocity of 51 miles an hour.
Yeah. I'm assuming it was an out or like
It was a ground out.
Yeah.
Yes, very soft ground out. His pop-up rate throughout August and September of this year are the highest of any month in his career. And it's a small sample size because he only came off the IL on August 25th and didn't play before since July 23rd before then. But he's popping the ball up at probably the worst rate of his career right now, and that dates back to 2010. And also, his fly ball rates are at a low point in any month throughout his career. Speaking of which, his fly ball rate during the span is 6.9%, tied with C.J. Abrams for dead last among the 155 hitters with at least 25 batted balls. If you know Giancarlo Stanton, you know that he's a guy that hits monster home runs. He's an exit velocity machine. You can't have that guy hitting fly balls at a 6.9% clip. My gut says he's probably still hurt in some way because there's just no way this is the player that he's become right now while fully healthy. But it's not been helping the Yankees at all.
Yeah, Giancarlo Stanton. Slightly alarming. And yeah, it's not like he's not hitting the ball in the air. It's just he's hitting the ball way too high in the air. Mm-hmm. It's not working out for him. I for a couple seconds there, you had me worried because how you were talking about how you were previewing your player, like, you know, I just figured it was going to be my player. My heart sank, my eyes lowered, and I was ready to hear my player to be selected. But it's a different Yankee. My player is a different Yankee. So sorry to trash the Yankees today, but it's just that's how your lineup's been without Aaron Judge. It's a different player in that Yankees lineup. Also, inside info on my F4 team, it's DJ LeMahieu. Mm-hmm. It's been very noticeable how bad he's been doing if you just look at any span over the last month where he ranks. DJ LeMahieu, in his last 20 games, he's hitting 128 with a 307 OPS. In this span, out of 179 qualifiers, his average on base percentage and slugging all rank dead last. He does not have a single extra base hit in his last 21 games, which is 90 plate appearances of 0 extra base hits. And he does not have a barrel in his last 45 batted balls. And then along with that, his strikeout and walk numbers have just taken a big turn for the worse. His strikeout rate has gone from 12% to 20%. His walk rate has gone from 14% down to 6%. So then if you combine that into strikeout minus walk rate, which is really only used for pitchers, but if you do it from a hitter's perspective, LeMahieu's strikeout minus walk rate has gone from negative 2% to 14% over this 20-game span. And his whiff rate has gone from 15% to 20%, and most notably, his chase rate has gone from 23% to 30%, which, you know, signifies why he's getting more strikeouts, taking less walks. And then when you go by individual pitchers, you can't really single one out. He's been so bad on every single pitch. He's slugging 158 or lower on every type of pitch that has ended more than one at-bat in this span. So that's sinkers, four-seamers, sliders, curveballs, change-ups, splitters, I think. He's slugging 158 or lower on every single one of those in the last 20 games. So, DJ LeMahieu. Slightly alarming.
That is a yikes.
And
how much money are both of them between Stanton and LeMahieu getting paid this year?
I'd say 45. Stanton's like 30 mil a year. LeMahieu's 15 mil a year.
Yeah, let me check that real quick. LeMahieu is getting 15 mil this year. Stanton is getting 29 mil, so that's $44 million to two players that have not had an extra base hit over these spans.
Yeah, and you know, to their credit, they were doing well up to this point, but it's looked very bad, and it's a reason why that division lead has gone from what, like 13 down to 5.
15 and a half down to 5.
15 and a half down
to 5. At
1
point down to 4.
Yeah, right. It's and but Aaron Judge, he's keeping them afloat. So yeah, that does it for players to highlight. Now we'll get into the preview of the week ahead. I'll be doing series to watch. Daniel will be looking at the day-by-day matchups. Many of these series have started already. But in terms of series to watch, just taking a quick glance, I mean, one that started yesterday, and there were actually two games yesterday, was Orioles Blue Jays. Blue Jays helped themselves. They swept the Orioles in the doubleheader. They gained 2.5, or they gained 2 games in the wild card race. Baltimore is now 4.5 out of that race. So Orioles need to take some games in that to stay in the race for sure. Or the Blue Jays could kind of kill it.
Yeah.
Unless of course the Rays fall off a little bit in their series because they're close with the Blue Jays. But other than that, I mean, really just I would more just focus on the teams contending for spots. I mean, I know it's not a high-profile series, but take a look at Royals, Guardians. The Guardians lead in the AL Central is 1 game right now. So, I mean, every game that the Guardians are going to be playing from here on out are going to be crucial. So even if that's a Royals series at Kauffman Stadium, it's something to watch.
The Guardians took the opener in extras last night, I believe.
Right, yeah.
So watching that one.
Big for them. Whoever wins the AL Central is going to be the worst division winner
since the 2005 Padres.
Yeah, 05 Padres or 06 Cardinals, but they won the World Series.
They won the World Series, so that doesn't really count.
Yeah, so maybe 05 Padres.
The team that won 82 and 80, I think.
Yeah. What, the Cardinals?
No, the 05 Padres.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
If I'm doing the math here, I believe, the Guardians hold the lead and they're on pace for 84 wins.
Cool.
So yeah, it would be the worst one in a little bit. What do you have for the day-by-day matchups?
So tonight on Tuesday, most of these are probably going to be done by the time you're listening. But on Tuesday, you got Taijuan Walker versus Mitch Keller in Mets Pirates at PNC Park. You have Jesus Luzardo and Aaron Nola going in Marlins Phillies at Citizens Bank Park. You have Wade Miley going for the Cubs against the Reds, his former team, at Wrigley. You have Jose Quintana going for the Cardinals against the Nationals in Busch Stadium. Looks like Pujols will not be facing a lefty as a starter tonight. That's very unfortunate because Paulo Espino is pitching. Shane Bieber will be facing the Royals for the Guardians tonight. I will probably be watching that one in some fashion. Framber Valdez will be facing the Rangers for the Astros. I believe it's their last matchup with each other, or at least this series will be the last matchup. Brandon Woodruff will be pitching against the Rockies at Coors Field. For the Brewers, he'll be facing Chad Kuhl. Eduardo Rodriguez will be pitching for the Tigers against the Angels in Angels Stadium. Kyle Wright and Cole Irvin will be facing each other in Braves-A's, the classic matchup that everyone's been anticipating this year.
Yeah.
Interleague match that we don't get to see very often.
It's the Tim Hudson Classic.
Yeah, exactly. You have Johnny Cueto and Logan Gilbert facing each other in White Sox Mariners. Tyler Anderson pitching tonight for the Dodgers against the Giants. And matchup of the night comes from Diamondbacks Padres. You got Merrill Kelly versus Joe Musgrove.
Yeah, 2 names were like, if you said that a couple years ago, you'd get a
what?
You'd get a raised eyebrow, but yeah, that's a pretty
Weird
solid matchup.
Cubs-Pirates matchup.
Yeah.
They face each other all the time. Why do we care?
Yeah. Exactly.
Not a lot is announced for Wednesday. But I believe Joe Ryan and Garrett Cole will possibly be facing each other at some point.
Nice.
Very funny. So the Yankees-Twins game is postponed tonight. So MLB.com currently has it as a 3:05 start and a 3:10 start in the doubleheader. Rob Manfred just loves that pace of play where the game's going to last 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, or they overlap. They find some.
They do like the split squad,
yeah,
like in spring training. They find another stadium.
It's like
Mets are probably on the road. They'll
got
just
the
use
whole
Citi Field.
40-man roster available for both teams
Yep.
today. They're gonna, they'll find some high school field in St. Paul.
They got to call Lucas Litke over to the other stadium because they need him in that other game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eric Lauer versus Kyle Freeland in Brewers Rockies at Coors. Spencer Strider versus Ken Waldachuk in Braves A's. Waldachuk is one of the A's top prospects that they had gotten to trade. This is very cool. Patrick Sandoval, in 33 plate appearances against the Tigers in his career, has a 137 xWOBA against.
Yeah.
That's like extremely blue on Baseball Savant.
For reference, the average expected WOBA would be
at least twice that.
320.
Yeah, probably maybe even 3 times that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. He'll be facing the Tigers Wednesday, so if you're a betting man, I would say bet the over on anything Patrick Sandoval that benefits him.
Yep.
Luis Castillo will be facing the White Sox for the Mariners on Wednesday. Jeffrey Springs will be facing the Red Sox in Tampa.
Yeah.
Trevor Rogers and Bailey Falter will be facing each other in Marlins Phillies. Falter is done pretty well with run prevention his last couple times out. Alek Manoah and Dean Kramer will be facing each other in Blue Jays Orioles. And Jordan Montgomery will be facing the Nationals for the Cardinals. He's been very good since the trade. Christian Javier will be facing the Rangers for the Astros in Minute Maid. Yu Darvish will be facing the Diamondbacks for the Padres. And matchup of the night comes from Giants-Dodgers. You got Alex Cobb versus Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah.
Because how can you not, right?
Yeah, it's Dodgers-Giants.
Nothing is announced for Thursday. There's not many games. The only full matchups that are announced are Josiah Gray versus Adam Wainwright, Luis Sessa versus Adrian Sampson. I guess I'll just go ahead and call matchup of the night Sandy Alcantara versus Kyle Gibson in Marlins Phillies.
Yeah.
That's really all I can tell you for Thursday.
Yeah, it is weird that there's a lot of TBD action. Maybe it's because of this rain in the Northeast. There's some postponed games. We don't know exactly what's going on.
I don't either.
Yeah, probables, schmobables.
Exactly. So that's pretty much all I got, really.
Yeah, so that should do it for this installment of Above Replacement Radio. Always good to get back in person, on the equipment, on the proper equipment. New energy, new excitement, and we got the playoffs about a month away, so we love that.
Yes, we do.
We hope you enjoyed this one. If you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you later this week, where we will be talking all the happenings in Major League Baseball once again. See you then.
This conversation is over.